What's up, everybody? This is In the Pocket, where we talk about the things and people around sports that you want to talk about. I'm Big Bob. That's Maestro. Maestro, how are you doing today?
Doing outstanding. I'm still in that after Christmas glow, when you get a chance to watch all the Christmas movies and stuff like that, claymation, animation, blah, blah, blah. But see, here's the thing, Bob, and I'm just going to say this for everybody. Just understand something. You don't appreciate it now, but you'll appreciate it when you get a little bit older. No matter what version of the Christmas story you see with Kris Kringle, one thing is always for sure.
There we go.
Mrs. Santa is a smoke show. I just at me if you want to, but it's facts. I'm just saying.
Well, anyways, the one thing that I miss about the one thing that I miss, actually, was that Christmas or is that the Super Bowl halftime show? Celebrity Deathmatch
Yes.
used to do a thing. I can't remember if it was, maybe it was New Year. It
Right.
might have been New Year's. I don't know. But this episode is going up after New Year's. We want to wish everybody a happy New Year's. Hope you had a great one, a safe
Happy
one.
New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year, everybody. 2026. Maestro, let's go ahead and jump in. I know you wanted to talk about, we do have a couple questions from some of our great listeners, but I want to jump into the topic that you had, and that was the topic, and I know one of the talks is the Oakland Raiders, and you wanted to talk a little
hmm
bit about this idea of teams tanking. And what I
Yeah.
believe is you don't believe that it's something that teams do.
So here's the thing. And okay. So I promise not to make this a Mastradamus nine series, 9-part series movie of the week thing. So here we
To
go.
be continued.
Yeah, right, exactly. So if you go back to just recent conversations, and I'm specifically going to point out this particular gentleman because I think he represents the best of what we see with that in reality, right? Players don't want to tank because players are trying to get good stuff on tape because they're playing for a contract. They're playing for a chance to be with another team. If I'm like a fourth stringer or a fifth stringer and I'm getting a chance to play, I am not going to half butt it because why? I want somebody to say, man, that dude can do what he does, and I want him for my team if I can get a contract next year, right? Remember the average professional life contract of an NFL player is 2.5 years. So that means I'm trying to get to that next contract. I'm trying to get to what's, whatever, to get paid, right? I mean, we're going to talk about the money, let's talk about the money, all right, or at least the job, okay? So Brian Flores, when he was coaching Miami, made a bunch of accusations, and I'm going to go past and say it's past accusations. He was being told not to play certain players, much like what we're hearing with Oakland now, with Crosby being hurt or ready to come back and play. But the team's like, no, we really want to get the number one draft pick, so we're just not going to play him. And you've heard players say stories like this about how they weren't getting their bonuses. Shannon Sharp always talks about the time where he was one catch away from getting $100,000 bonus or whatever, and kept him on the sideline, and when they put him in, it was only for running plays or whatever, and he still lets people know about that. So, but Brian Flores, as the Miami coach, told a story where he was pulled aside by ownership and said, "Listen, we need to lose these last two games." I think we had the conversation about this, like tanking for two or whatever,
There was
and he
tanking for
refused to
Tua,
do
suck
it.
for luck. There's all
Yeah,
kinds of
yeah,
them.
yeah, exactly. And he refused to do it because in his mind, it makes him look bad as a coach, and I can understand that, and I can understand the player's point of view. But what I don't understand is if this really indeed the case, and something's going to happen now because okay, so let's go back to episode 2. We talked about social media. We talk about how much smaller the universe is now in terms of being able to contact players or getting information out there. Information has a speed; it gets out there a lot faster now,
Yep.
even if it's bad information.
Yep.
So now, so now, if a general manager or a director of operations tries to put his team in a position to not succeed, somebody's going to tell somebody something, and it's going to get posted somewhere. And once it gets posted, it's out there; it's never coming back. True or not? So the reality of is with Oakland's situation, or like what Brian Flores went through, we're getting fired, and then he sued the league, and obviously it got shut up really quick because guess what? He's back in the league, coaching again. not as a head coach, as a position coach. Now he might not ever see a head coaching job again, but he's still in the league, and nobody's saying his name for boo. So the reality of it is, Bob, and so here's where I am now, and that's as quick as I can make it. As a player, you don't want to tank, because if you know this, if you play football at any level at half speed, you're going to get your kidneys rocked out of your ear hole. It's just you can't play that game that way, right? You also can't intentionally play to lose, because you're asking for something bad to happen to yourself that way anyway. And it's not the kind of game that allows that. And now let's get into the whole competitive nature of athletes who play at a professional level. They don't want to look bad, so they're going to play hard. So then let's get into the fact that coaches don't want to lose games, because that goes on their lifetime record. So, and oh, by the way, they might be losing games to get a cat drafted, which teams don't draft well anyway, that they won't even get a chance to coach, because they're going to get fired.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's really about the ownership and the management trying to lose games, tanking, that fake tank, I call it fake tanking, to get the next best player, when they haven't, like for instance, the Jets have proven unequivocally that they are incapable of being successful within the draft. We've just proven it. We wrote the book for it. We wrote the series for it. We have won the Lifetime Achievement Award for being able to fail in the draft because of the type of organization we are. And I'm saying we, even though I'm a fan, I'm saying we, because I want to put myself in there with it. All right. So that being said, though, how many teams really draft well? How many teams really put their new players in positions to be successful? How many teams are really complete teams now with the way this sort of, oh my goodness, this nature of how these teams are so disconnected even within themselves, right? So there's no success that's going to come from that, I don't believe, unless the team is really completely together and they're able to turn those draft picks into successful pieces. And just because you draft somebody first doesn't mean that they're going to be the best player. We just had a game just recently, the number one draft pick versus the Mr. Irrelevant. And guess who teams won? Mr. Irrelevant team won. I believe San Francisco won, right? San Francisco beat the Chicago Bears.
Yep.
Am I right? No, it's the other way around. Was that? Okay.
No, so the 49ers, I think they came back at the end, because it was a close game. It was like I think it was 42-38 or something like that.
Yeah. So here we go. Once again, the guy who was drafted last, Mr. Irrelevant, has not only led his team to a Super Bowl, he's also now playing amongst the best quarterbacks in the league. We talked about how few quarterbacks there are. And guess who was the quarterback for the Bears? Heisman Trophy winning, number one draft pick. What does that tell you? Not every draft choice, because of the team, is the same. It has nothing to do with the player. It has everything to do with the team that they're being drafted into. And if they're not a good facilitator of building and growing talent, it doesn't matter who you draft first or who you draft last. The team, the organization of the team, the composition of the team in terms of structure and organization, that's what's going to give you the success. And I went way too long with that answer.
Yeah, no, I mean, I do truly believe that there are teams that tank, and I believe it is done in a way that it might not seem as noticeable, but I think it's noticeable to those, obviously, that pay attention. I would say the people that probably don't notice it are maybe I always want to say fair weather fans, but that's not the fair weather fans is the term.
Bandwagon fans?
No, just the ones
bandwagon fans. That's
just the ones that like, hey, they're a fan of. They say they're a fan of a sport, but they're of a team, but they don't really follow the team. They just know, oh yeah,
Gotcha.
like, oh, they probably won, or they probably no. So I know that the thing's going around right now about Max Crosby. The Raiders wanted to lose. They put him on the IR, but he doesn't really need to be on the IR. There's a video going around of him playing basketball and dunking at home. I think he was dunking
trampoline or something, right?
No, I don't know. The video that I saw, I know one of the things said he was dunking, but the video I saw is he hit like a fadeaway three, and even when somebody's hurt, they can still do things. We're acting like if somebody's on the IR, they're not in a full body cast and can't do anything. So, do I think that the Raiders deactivated Max Crosby because they wanted to lose? No, they don't have anything to worry about. Look at their offense. They're going to lose anyways. whether or not Max Crosby is there, they're going to lose anyways.
Wow. Big Bob is brutal.
Like you didn't need to bet. You didn't need to take out Max Crosby. Plus, if he
no, Boo, don't worry about it. You just be you. You'll be fine.
But I do think there are teams that they will. It's like, okay, maybe this week we're gonna play the third stringers or the fourth stringers. Yes, those third and fourth, like you said, those third and fourth stringers, they are gonna go out there and play their absolute hardest to try and prove that they belong and to try and get a contract. But they're still the third and fourth stringers. They're the third and fourth stringers for a reason. They're not trusted to be starters for a reason. So I do believe that teams will use, especially at the end of the season, they'll use injuries. Like somebody might have, I don't know, broken a toenail and now they're going to be missing a game or two because of an undisclosed foot injury. The undisclosed injuries are the ones that I am always suspicious about. Is undisclosed foot, undisclosed ankle. I think that was. I'm going to use as a Penn State fan because it frustrated me to no end. And this is a topic for another time. But I thought Katron Allen was going to be playing in our bowl game, and he announced the night before he was ready. He was dressing for the game, and then a couple hours before the game started, he's out of the game with an undisclosed injury. His undisclosed injury was he didn't want to get hurt leading up to the draft. That's his undisclosed injury, and I'm sorry. I love Katron Allen. That frustrated me to no end. Shout out Danny, who played defense. He dressed, played. He was the star of the defense. Sutton is going to be a great player at the next level. But I do. Teams, when you get desperate enough, you do things in order to get a pick. Now, I don't believe there's. I believe in the NFL that there is a reason to tank because it's more straightforward of where you're going to pick. I don't understand why NBA teams tank because one, if any draft is rigged, it's the NBA draft. And there's more controversy around the NBA draft than anything in the entire world. I mean, come on now. You really the
I can't
come
argue.
on.
Brother, I can't listen. I'm joking, but I'm with you.
But like you have a percentage of, at least in the NFL, you have the worst record. You get the first overall draft pick. It's in the NBA, you have the worst record. The team that has the 10th worst record might get the first overall pick instead of you. Like, what's the point? There's no point. The numbers don't make sense. That it just don't add up.
I can fix everybody's draft. I can fix everybody's draft.
Go ahead.
With one sentence. The first team out of the playoffs, in other words, the team that was next in line to make the playoffs, they get the first pick. And go from there.
You don't think the worst team?
Nope. Screw you.
Well, no.
Stay bad.
To be fair, like you said, again, I know we're going a little. I mean, this is your topic, so it can be about whatever it is. But to be fair, like you said, teams are so bad at drafting. Does it really, like, you're giving these teams that are perpetually, and I'm sorry, Jets fans, they're perpetually bad. They have these top picks. They draft these players, and then nothing comes of it. It's the Chicago Bears. Good for Caleb Williams finally showing out and doing what he was expected to do from Oklahoma to USC to now. But perpetually or historically, the Bears quarterbacks, who was the last great Bears quarterback? Jay Cutler wasn't great.
Sid Luckman? Sid Luckman was a Giant.
Probably Greasy. I think probably Greasy.
Back in the 1930s. Look up Bears quarterbacks in the 1930s. It was a bad joke. It was funny in my head, but it's horrible once I said it out loud.
Probably the only team that probably has a worse job does a worse job at growing quarterbacks is the Cleveland Browns. Because could you imagine being a fan of a team and like you decide like you collect the jerseys of every quarterback that has been around since you've been
Oh
born. And
my
could you imagine, like,
goodness.
you ran out of, you don't have space for anything in your house if you're a
No,
Cleveland Browns fan.
no, no, no.
And it's
You
like,
don't. And
yeah,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. You're just so on point with that, with the fact that they keep year after year after year after year, like Portland Trailblazers and centers, Cleveland Browns and quarterbacks. It's just year after year after
yeah.
year after
And
year.
that's the thing. And the Browns have had some amazing, because for me, I will always say, you need to get that offensive line together before you decide who your quarterback is.
Absolutely.
Because
Absolutely.
99 times out of 100, you're not going to have a Tom Brady or Peyton Manning back there who's able to manipulate that offensive line to get them into the right position and block for you the way that those guys could. You're going to have these guys, like we talked about in a previous episode, who there's no development anymore. There's zero development across any position in the NFL, and they're just tossed in there expected to win immediately, and then when they fail after one season, because there's no longer the long, very expensive contracts that these top overall picks get, you're no longer forced to keep that guy around. It's like, okay, I drafted this guy first overall this year, he didn't work out, I'll get another one next year. Because the price tag is not that high, and you're not losing as much. But it's like, you have to build that. You have to build that offensive line. And the Browns seem to be able, like, they had Joe Thomas, I think Alex Mack, I think it was Alex Mack. Like, they have been able to get very good offensive linemen, Hall of Fame level offensive linemen, and they still couldn't do it. Like, to be honestly, was their best quarterback in the last 25 years that actually did something Derek Anderson in like 09 or whatever?
Yeah.
Like, that might have been the most successful quarterback they've had. And it's not that they have had untalented players there. It's just, it's like the Raiders. You shove a quarterback there or you shove a skill player there, and they're just not, they're not good anymore.
Right.
And that has a lot to do with your coaching and the front office. And when the owner is dipping their hands into things, I'm sorry for bagging on your Jets right now. But you look at Woody Johnson. He didn't want to sign a guy because his speed in Madden was too low. You're not bringing a guy in or drafting a guy or you're not bringing a guy in because his Madden speed is too low. Like, what are you doing? What are we doing?
Meanwhile, the Raiders would have their draft board ready.
All speed.
And by the way, 3 minutes before they're supposed to make the pick, Al Davis run down and say, draft this guy. He ran a 4.240.
Draft Darius Hayward.
Wait, hold on. Who is that guy? Where is he from?
Like, no disrespect to Darius Hayward Bay, but there was no reason why he was drafted where he was.
No, you're right.
The speed doesn't matter. Jerry Rice showed that you don't need to have a 4.34. I get great, one of the greatest of all time, but still, he showed that you don't have to have an amazing four. Look at all of the little, let's see, look at all the little receivers that the New England Patriots got that probably ran 4.9.
That were all former quarterbacks.
All former quarterbacks. all what people love to describe as high motor guys. And scrappy high motor guys. Not turning it. Oh man, it's like
we're so bad.
But we did the same thing though. You got Lamar Jackson, who's really fast, and you're like, he's really, really fast and athletic. He can't be a quarterback in the NFL. Now again, his accuracy is a little bit of a issue at times, and it was in the beginning of his career. But it's like, because of this attribute. Sticking to the video game terms, this attribute isn't what we normally expect from this position, so they can't do that position. If we did that today,
no, you're right. Go ahead, finish.
If we did that today, Tom Brady and Peyton Manning would never get a shot in the NFL
get drafted.
Because they're not athletic enough to play quarterback.
Right. No.
But it just shows it's that skill, it's that video going in there, the tape review, knowing and studying your opponents. I'm gonna stop myself right now, and I'm gonna let you go, Maestro, because I can my face is getting red. We're 20 minutes in already and haven't gotten to the second topic.
I know. I love it. I love it. So look, so here's the thing. And again, just say this real quick. Also, there's a couple of things that play into this too. And I'm just gonna get it out there. I'm gonna go and make people mad. So I'm really sorry if I upset you with what I'm about to say, but I really want you to think about what I'm about to say. There was an element of racism in this too, because Josh Allen was not accurate at all. And we can always tell when Josh Allen gets excited, he plays the way he did when he first came in the league and the way he played in college. Whenever there's a wide open player and he gets excited, that cannon comes out and he overshoots the guy by about
Yep.
5 yards.
Yep.
But nobody ever says that about him. No, it says that about him. Now, he says it about himself. He says it about himself. He talks about himself in honest terms. But you look at the pundits when they talk about Josh Allen, who had the exact, listen to me now, exact same issues as Lamar Jackson, they're always spoken of differently. I'm going to leave that right there. I'm going to say something else too. Make everybody mad. Just go on his hate mail to Maestro and everybody else. I'm going to be honest with you. I think if you put together a coaching staff, an NFL coaching staff right now of who are actually legit real-time coaches that can not only scheme up a game but coach up players, take a player from where he is and make him better, I believe you might be able to put together, with all the coaches in the league right now, you might be able to put together 6 full staffs of top-notch coaches. I think there are a lot of cats coaching in the league who are not coaches. You see that with time management of certain head coaches. You see that with the way certain groups practice. And I'm going to tell you the easiest group to tell if they have a good coach or not. And that is my favorite herd animal, the offensive line. When you have you can draft one great offensive lineman, whatever, it means nothing. Offensive line is a herd. Those guys work together, eat together, walk together. They do a lot. That was my favorite group to hang with. Even though I was a receiver, I always hung with offensive line because of how they had to work together. And I'm going to give you an example of when stuff goes wrong. Whenever protection is called, good offensive lines know how to fix that. Okay, he just said, I'm supposed to get him. We know this guy's coming. You see them tap each other. They give each other their codes. Boom, boom, boom. The quarterback stands up. Everyone says, oh, the quarterback called a great protection. No. The offensive line just made the quarterback look good by changing the protection amongst themselves. And the reason, I'm going to stop with this line, and the reason the NFL is so hard, because if you don't know what you're doing when you get out there on the field, it happened with the Baltimore game. The tight end was lost. This is the fourth quarter, 7 minutes and 35 seconds left to go. Baltimore has the ball. The tight end was lost. He had no idea where to be. So what happened? He goes into motion. Quarterback pushes him back. He pushes back. He goes back into motion again, goes to the left side of the line. And then the guy he was supposed to block ran right past him and knocked the spleen out of the nose hole of the quarterback. Because why? He didn't take care of his responsibility. People who only look at the ball, some of them don't realize it's all of the other stuff that happens. And that's why a quarterback, that's a Big Bob. And I said, that's why a quarterback can dissect all that information, know who's coming, knows who's not coming. That's really important. And a lot of cats can't do that. But I'm going to say this, and my Jets are for this. I don't believe there's enough coaches in the league that can coach at that level, the way the game is trying to be played right now. And maybe I'm being just over whatever, and I'm willing to take that kick in the face, because who am I? I'm sitting on a camouflage chair talking with my best friend. So but when you look at the play and the way teams play and how, because fans will say, well, how come he just didn't do this?
Yeah.
And then somebody else comes on and says, well, he couldn't do that because this is what was going on. And look at how many times plays are missed when you go back and look at the tape, because the tape don't lie. So mistakes are going to happen, yes, and that's why I will say what I said about after last show last week. The Patriots, whatever I want to say about them, They play mistake-free possessions, and that's always going to give themselves a chance as they put up 190. I think they scored again, so it's 58-0 Patriots on the Jets right now. They scored again, 67-0 the Jets. I'm sorry, I'm gonna let it go now. I'm back. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Well, you see, I guess when we pick our own topics to talk about, we get pretty heated too. So I guess it's not just the fans of the show.
Let's never do that again. Let's never do that again. We'll apologize to everybody. All hate mail goes to Maestro. All the love mail goes to Big Bob. Let's just keep it right, okay?
No, I mean, I got some hate after that, after my Steelers comments from last week. Shout out to everybody that, we're across TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. We're almost at 10,000 views on that short about the Steelers from last week's episode. I had some people calling me fat and telling me that I should go eat this or that, and they don't know me because they just need to. Hey, one dude told me to go eat a burger. I had just eaten a double bacon cheeseburger myself, so I was like, hey man, I already did that. I don't need to do it now. He said, say less, bro. Say less. That's where I just came from right before recording. I got me a double bacon cheeseburger. One dude said, go eat a bag of Doritos. I'm like, nah, I'm good. I have some jalapeno cheddar Cheetos right here, which I've been downing. So I'm good on the Doritos. I love Doritos, but I got my cheddar jalapeno cheddar Cheetos right here. But that stuff don't bother me. You think nobody ever called me fat before? I know I'm fat. You think I would? Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much for letting me know what I already know about myself, and I wouldn't want me to be any other way. I might die a few years before you, but I'm happy.
well, hopefully people who feel the need to talk bad about other people, hopefully it was made it worth it for them to feel good about themselves. And God bless you. Bless your heart. Bless your heart anyway.
Well, let's move on, Mike, sir, because we are we've already done a full episode just on
I know.
B-Ron.
My sorry.
B-Ron. Every weekly question from B-Ron. Shout out B-Ron.
I know, right?
So he talked about if you could realign conferences in Division I football to have a promotion or relegation system while also making it regional or more closer for geographic purposes, how would you separate the teams? Now, this is something, and I know it's something he was doing. This is something that just for fun I used to do. Right. I would sit down, look at a map, and go, this would be it, this would be it, this would. I would sit in the old NCAA games, the new NCAA college football games, because they're not NCAA games anymore. I would sit there and say, what teams would be best here and there. Now, I hated doing it because my favorite team, Penn State, always ended up in a crappy conference, but the way that they play against the good teams, they probably deserve to be in a crappy conference. But for me, I think it's really simple on how you would if you truly want it to be geographical, because obviously you look at the Big Ten now, and I understand the Big Ten and the SEC they're trying to make two super conferences. They're essentially making the NFC and the AFC in college football. But you have California teams in a conference with Pennsylvania teams. Like geographically, it makes zero sense at all. But financially, it makes the most sense for some of those teams. I would just break it down. You sit down on the map. And I pulled up a map of teams here. And it's like, here's this section. This is how this conference would look like. So you look at the Northeast of America. You get your West Virginia, Maryland, Navy, Pitt, Penn State, Temple, Rutgers, Buffalo, Syracuse, Army, Connecticut, UMass, and Boston College. Now, as a Penn State fan, I love the fact that we would probably play Pitt every year. I hate that is not a protected rivalry, and the athletic directors and having I don't want to say the term, but they're having those peeing contests. I'll just say it that way. Of like, we don't need the other school, but it's like, no, but the fans want it. And those games will be sold out every single year, regardless of how well the teams are doing, because everybody is going to look at Pitt knocking off Penn State or Penn State knocking off Pitt. But then you look at the rest of that conference and you go, I know that they beat us every single year, but we're not playing Ohio State anymore. We're not playing Michigan anymore. Now you got Indiana, who did extremely well this season. Now, are they going to be able to keep that up? Time will tell. But like, That's just how you sit down, you take a map, you say, here are these 10 to 12 teams, they're close. Sit down, these 10 to 12 teams are close. That's how I would do it. Now, how would you do that?
So, B-Ron, you're the worst because that question sucks because it's just so good. And there's so many different ways you can go. No, no, we love you, B-Ron. You're the best, man. So here's the thing, and I'm just going to say this in the most calm way I can say this. The reason it's such a good question is there's probably about at least 25 to 32 effective answers for that question.
Yeah. Yep.
Because teams are because most colleges are so cyclical in their success and so cyclical in their lack of success. Now, some teams have mastered not being successful. Okay, some teams we're never going to be good. See my Jets. No, I'm just joking. We're talking college. So,
but Syracuse. We'll keep it in New York, Syracuse.
Well, and okay, wait a minute. Check it out. I'm so glad you said that. I'm digging into Maestro ear hole right now. I believe Maestro checked me on this because I'm going to get the year wrong. 1958 or 1959 was the last. Was 58 or 59? I think was the last time a New York team won the Division I national championship, and it was Syracuse. Of all the teams that you would pick and say at that moment, and again, I'm gonna check it here in a second, but I believe it was 1958 or 1959. The Syracuse Orange won the national championship, and that was the last New York State team to win a national championship. And if I'm wrong, I will eat a whole banana, peel and all, next episode. But I'm just not sure about the year. It's 58 or 59. So I'm so glad we don't do research. So here's the thing though. Like USC was unstoppable at one point, and now you couldn't find them on the back of a milk carton. At one particular point, we thought, heck, we thought like LSU was never going to go away, and all of a sudden,
Miami.
they're on Miami, and all of a sudden they're on posters in Walmart. It's because it's so cyclical, B-Ron, it really makes that difficult because these set of years, certain teams will just not be good. And then by the time they get good and they're in this other league and they're going to blow out of that league, are they ready to compete at the upper level? And so I'm sorry I'm not giving you one specific answer. It's such a great question. If we were to sit down with it and put them all like on a table and sort of like aligned it out, I in my heart of hearts, I really believe that you can get up to 30 different combinations that would probably work. Understanding that once the time that recruiting, especially now, okay, so recruiting life class is 2 years. I was going to say 3 because of you have to be 3 years before you can go to the league.
Transfer when you want, apparently.
Transfer portal and everything else. Now, I think the cyclical life of a class is about 2 years. So just imagine that turnover in that, 1 year, this team is at the top of their conference. 2 years later, they're at the bottom and somebody else is at the top. It's just, I don't think college football, B-Ron, will ever have an effective answer to that amazing question and your amazing thought. Cause I just don't believe there's a way to make it balanced. Yeah. I don't. Yeah. And I could be wrong. I could be nana boo boo, but I just don't see it.
With the transfer portal, with the NIL and stuff like that. I joked with one of my friends, Tim, 2 days ago, I believe it was. I sent him a screenshot of Caleb Hawkins. He's the running back for North Texas. Having an amazing year. True freshman, having an amazing year. Took a screenshot of his stats and said, hey, I hope he goes to the portal and comes to Penn State or whatever I said. The next day, he hits the portal. So you're saying it's not even 2 years. If you have a true freshman on on one of the lower schools or one of the non-power conference schools, you're risking losing your best players every single season just because it's like, okay, got it, showed what I could do at North Texas. Now maybe Texas wants me because they didn't want me coming out of college
Right.
or coming out of high school. But now I put up 26 touchdowns, 28 touchdowns, whatever he had, and 2,500 yards. I think he had almost 3,000 yards total.
Right.
It's like it's just it's so professionalized now. And again,
Yes.
I'm not going to complain about the players getting paid. I'm
No,
not. We talked
no,
about it before
no.
on a couple episodes
It's what it
ago.
is now. It's what it
It
is now,
it
dude.
is what it is.
It's
And with all those contracts that the coaches are getting, spread the love. You're getting 10 to 12 million dollars for some of these top tier coaches. Why not give back to the players a little bit? And it's a slippery slope.
and
But
oh,
hey,
by the
it is
way,
what it is.
and Bob, you know what? I'm gonna take it one more place. I'm just gonna be that guy here tonight, or today, or whenever you listen to this. And again, thank you so much for taking the time out of your life to listen to this.
Absolutely.
I'm just gonna be that maestro right now. Here's the thing. At one particular point, players, if they wore helmets, they were leather, and there was no face guard. And at one particular point, players of color were not allowed to play. And at one particular point, you know, we've had women kickers, to
Yep.
play Division I ball.
Yep.
Katie Knight is still one of my favorite players and people with all the stuff that she went through. She can still keep her head up high. I'm sorry, I don't care what anybody say. You listen, you talk bad about Katie, me and you outside in the parking lot, and I'm the only one walking back in. That's just what it is. So things change, and it's okay. I'm not the get off my lawn guy. I'm not that. Things change. And oh, by the way, it's so easy. It's such low hanging fruit to sit here and say, oh, well, now they're getting paid. Or now they're, and I hear some very, very, very experienced sports pundits fall into that trap. And it's so unproductive because you're so busy talking about what was, you're not talking about what is.
Yep.
That's the way it is now. And guess what? Now we have a greater dynamic to talk about when we talk about college sports, because we can talk about NIL deals that made players move. We don't have to pretend anymore that, oh, well, this school offered him this much more money.
Yep.
This school offered him another car. Well, we have to pretend anymore. Now we can just say it. And oh, by the way, I think if you say it, I think you give an honesty to it where it doesn't come across like I'm trying to make it like it was in the 50s. I'm sorry. Some of us, I'm not going to point fingers, are not a fan of the 50s. Okay? I'm just going to say that right now. Okay? So if we don't go back to the 50s, I'm okay with that. Right? I'm just saying. So anyway, that's what it is. That's all I want to say, guys. Thank you for listening.
Well, let's jump to the. Let's jump to the other part of his question, talking about regulation, promotion, stuff like that. I think that's
so
just
smart.
To me. I think that is going a little too far, because
wow.
now
you're on the opposite sides.
There are some. I would love for there to be a better or an easier way or a quicker way for teams to make the jump if they wanted to. But I don't necessarily think we need to go, this school, at the end of the day, they're still kids, is how I'm going to look at it. I don't want us to get, because I don't think, well, yes, there is a way to critique a kid. We can't be treating them like they're full-blown adults, and I know people are going to hate this, fully developed frontal lobes, like, and obviously men never develop their frontal lobes based on
ever.
It's 20, what is it, 26 or whatever now, or whatever it is. It changes. It's always going to keep changing.
Boys are dumb. Boys are dumb.
But I think at the end of the day, they're still kids, and if we go, you guys sucked so bad, you're going to drop in a division. One, what is that even doing? What are we gaining from that? Because we're not paying these schools more money for being at a higher division. It all has to do with
they're paying more. They're actually paying more to be at a high division. Because of the fees.
Well, that's even like, let's say.
Sorry, keep going though. You're right.
I say Penn State can go, hey, I want to play South Dakota State this year. I'll give you $500,000 to come here and lose. Like, they're not losing anything by being at the lower school. They're gaining a lot more money than they would have had, but I don't think there's anything to gain by having a relegation system like they do over in, is it the Premier League? I don't follow soccer that much, but I know it's like the Premier League or whatever, one of the soccer leagues, like they have the promotion and delegation and all that stuff. If you're worst,
Mm-hmm.
if you win the championship this season, you can move up and the worst team drops down. I just don't see, even if this was the NFL, there's not enough teams at the professional level for us to have a relegation system. Now there are enough teams at the college level, but again, I don't see the benefit of that because there's not that financial aspect, at least not one that I can think of right now. If you have billionaire boosters, it doesn't matter what level you're at, you're going to have an advantage. And it has a lot to do with your marketability. That's your Texases, your Ohio States, your Michigans, still your Penn States, because they still do make money compared to 95% of the rest of college football teams, or college football and basketball overall. Again, I don't. Maybe you'll change my mind, Maestro, but I don't see the benefit. Like, what would we gain from a relegation system?
So here we go, and actually, I'm going to fact check myself on this because I'm going to put out numbers, but I want to be really close to what it is. So to be a Division I school or FBS school or whatever, your fee is somewhere in the realm of like $4 to $5 million a year. So
And most schools can't pay that without subsidies.
Without and there we go. And thank you for saying it that way, because I don't believe that I do not believe that fee for Division I membership is actually qualifies for subsidies. The only schools that automatically get it are HBCUs. That's one of the things for HBCUs, that they can be Division I without such exorbitant fees, because sometimes Division I schools don't have enough to play a true coaching staff. And having interviewed at a HBCU for sport, I don't want to give away too much, but they basically just said, listen, we only have so much money to go around, and it's basically going to be, if you can teach, we can pay. It became like that, and I'm not talking about 150 years ago. I'm talking about within the last 20 years. Okay, so now that being said, though,
it's kind of like high school, where most, like a high school coach, like your head coach is probably also like your principal, and your offensive coordinator is probably your history teacher.
Mm-hmm. So that's one thing. Again, so what I like about the idea is we can keep all the schools in their conferences, and then the top schools in each conference then move up to the upper level. The bottom schools move down to the lower level, and then they're playing within like competition. Now, unlike real football, or soccer as it's called in America, the schedule is always fixed, and there's only 12 games. Unlike in soccer, there's a lot more games to work with. There's a lot of other things to take and consider. So the logistics doesn't make it. That regulation would have to be for the entire season in terms of how they schedule. So, but now here's the thing: so many schools schedule games like 5 and 10 years out.
Yeah.
There was a big deal between in the SEC. It was supposed to be an SEC and Pac-10 thing, where like USC was going to play Alabama, and Georgia was going to play somebody else. It was going to be like but it was going to start in 2027. Well, there's no Pac-10 anymore, so you can't even do that now, right? So it's what's great, Ty. What's really awesome about your question is, just like with B-Ron, and both of you guys are really good with this.
This is still B-Ron's question. We're not at Ty yet.
Okay, I apologize. So, because Ty's question is awesome too.
It's similar.
Yeah. So the what's great about this is you're asking for a level of consideration, and where I step across the table from Bob is, I don't believe we're judging the individual athletes on the team. We're judging the actual team performance itself. So that's why I'm not bothered by that. However, it makes the logistics where it's going to be, you won't know your next season's schedule till after this season is over. So if you're going to have your built-in rivalries, where they're going to be. But in terms of the other games you're going to play, you won't know who's in the upper division or the lower division until that season actually ends. And oh, by the way, if the national championship game is in February and then people, and you still got recruiting, and then you start spring ball in the end of March or whatever it is. That's no time to who. If I want to go to an upper level school, they got relegated to a lower level school. I'm a 5-star player. I don't want to go to a lower level school. I want to play at an upper level school because I want to get looked at for the next level. So now we all these other moving parts. But that's the only way I think that it could work. And again, that's just question is just so amazing. I love it. Great question and great idea. But that's the only way I can see it work.
Yeah, like I said, it just I think I look at the feelings too much of the players, but just again, I just like I said, I'm sitting in like
Somebody has to.
what are we gaining? Like I just
Yeah.
can't. I just don't know what the gain is.
Yeah.
And like you said, and going back to the question about how to, we would have to look at the build of the conferences, and it's like, do
Yep.
you then have to make 4 super conferences to make this work? Does this work with 10 conferences, however many there are, 10 or 12?
Yeah.
Like,
That's another thing.
Yeah,
What is it? There was a conference this past season that had 3 teams in it.
it was the Pac-12. They have 2 teams.
Yeah, See, dude, the landscape is so volatile right now that there's not enough material or clay in the bucket to make a statue yet because the landscape is so volatile with the way leagues and conferences are changing and shifting around.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. It is. You never know. I think we're getting to a point where it's gonna start to settle, only because I don't know what else more can happen.
You know what could happen? Could happen?
What?
You know what could happen? No conferences.
Everybody
set up your rivalries, but here's what's going to happen though. All the big money programs, like the schools in the SEC, are going to maintain whatever. They're going to kick out the schools like the Vanderbilts or whatever, the teams that don't usually perform at the higher level, right? Like all the GPA schools. They're going to get booted out, and all the big money schools are going to bond together because they're going to be able to pay the better players to come. And all of a sudden, we don't have conferences. We just have like this massive super WWE, NWA, Deep South wrestling thing where everybody's going to be fighting for the belt in a Royal Rumble every week.
I don't think a lot of people will be shocked if we end up with just 2 super conferences. And that's just where I think it's going to end up. It's going to end up with a Big Ten. You got your Big Ten, who's always going to be the Big Ten, even no matter how many teams they have. Got 16 teams. Mm-hmm. Big Ten doesn't make Pac-12. Got 2 teams. Like, what are we doing? Sorry. But no,
I have documentation. I have documentation, Big Bob. I said what you just said. I said that back in 2011. I said we're going to go to where it's going to be 2 big conferences, and that's what it's going to be. It's going to be like AFC, NFC, except for college football.
And that way, teams can stop complaining about the playoffs and not making the playoffs. It's like, hey, you're in this conference, and this and this kind of tied into Ty's question. It's like you don't have to complain about it. There's no win a game, win your games, and you're in.
Bob is the greatest motivation speaker of all time. Oh, you feeling sad? What you do today? Sit on the couch? Get up! Get up! Get off your butt and go do something.
Well, before I go off on another tangent, let me tie you. Let's bring in Ty's question. Ty, we appreciate your question.
See what we did there?
Ty and Ty's. Yeah, there you go. How important is it to have group of 5 teams in the playoffs? He says that the playoffs have never been and never will be just the best teams. And it goes to the teams that deserve to be in, like the teams that win the important games. And he believes that if you remove the group of 5 schools from the college football playoff, you're essentially alienating half of the country. And instead of Power 5 teams instead of playing the the Colorado School of Mimes should schedule real teams, and the issue would be resolved. There you go. That's the guy, like you said, like we were talking about St.
But
Mary's School for the blind and deaf and all.
that's
Like, you can't
that's
schedule
so
those.
that's
You
so
can't
awesome.
schedule those.
That's so
Again,
awesome.
you go. I'm gonna jump on the Notre Dame train again. Notre Dame train again.
There we
You
go.
go look at their
Here we go.
schedule. All you
Mhm.
needed to do was schedule maybe one more really like a good team. Yeah, people complain. Oh, JMU's in it. Miami made it in last season. Boise State and oh my God, why
Yeah,
am I?
exactly.
I'm just,
Exactly. You can't even think of it now, can you? You can't even think of it now,
and
can
it's
you?
crazy. Oh my God, and it sucked because Penn State
Yep.
played them. But yeah, it's like you
Yep.
have these.
That's right.
At the end of the day, it's not everybody deserves a little bit of love, and I
Mhm.
think that just because they play in a weak conference, or you get, oh, it's JMU, oh, they don't deserve. Why?
Right.
Because they're JMU, they don't deserve to
Right.
be in. That doesn't make sense. You look back,
Yeah.
I was somebody who truly felt that Hawaii, I think it was Hawaii, deserved to play for a national championship when they went undefeated. I think that
Mhm.
was when Colt Brennan was there. Did they get absolutely smacked? It was Georgia, wasn't it?
Yep.
They got absolutely smacked. But at the end of the
Got
day, Colt Brennan
ran over.
was arguably the best player in college football statistically.
Easily.
He deserved to show off a little bit on the big stage. Again, you can't eliminate these schools. If Colorado State, I don't even know. This is where the whole I don't even know what conference Colorado State is in anymore. But if you have like if we eliminated these group of 5 conferences, Boise State. No, this is not the playoffs, but Boise State wouldn't have had that opportunity and what they ultimately won against Oklahoma in, was that 2005? I believe it was. It was Adrian Peterson. Yeah, Jared Zabransky
Yes.
back at quarterback. Ian Williams, I think, at running back. The Statue of Liberty. Oh, they couldn't. If they didn't have, if they had to play real football, they wouldn't have won. That's real football. I just saw a complaint on I think it was Instagram. There's apparently a high school that's won 10 out of the last 11 state championships in their state and in their division because they run an RPO offense that also allows the running back to throw the ball out of the RPO, or they run reverse. They say, "Oh, should this be illegal? This isn't real football." What do you mean it's not real football? It just because you have athletes at every single position. I mean, they're still their defense is still holding teams out. Like, what do you mean it's not real football? If you can't, people can't figure out how to stop this offense. People are going to say that every time a new offense comes around. People didn't want the RPO to work back when RG3 was with the Redskins whenever he first got drafted. People freaked out about the Wildcat. They loved it, but also they loved it because they beat the Patriots that one time. Because I think what was
Miami,
it? I think they scored on 4 or 5 touchdowns or 5 or 6 touchdowns or something off the Wildcat back when they had Ronnie Brown and Ricky Williams. Like, should they not be allowed to run that because it seems so? Oh, we can't defend that. Go study it and build a defense around it and stop it. Nothing is unstoppable. It's all about preparation. If this team has won the last 10 of 11 state championships, the other teams need to figure out what to do, how to stop them. But yeah, I'm sorry. I apologize, Ty. I apologize. I'm so sorry. I love you. Back to the question. I believe that if there is a conference, that conference deserves an opportunity or a spot in the college football playoff. Now, if you have you will always have there's always going to be complaints with the playoffs. Oh, blah 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 and blah 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 got left out. Blah 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 and blah 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 got left out. It doesn't matter if it's a 14 playoff, an 18 playoff, a 16 team playoff, a 136 team playoff. You are always going to have complaints that this team, I apologize, everybody. I'm smacking the table and my camera's shaking. You are always going to
Take
have
it, baby.
people saying this team deserved to be in it. I don't know why they weren't in. You're never going to make everybody happy. That's personally, I think an 18 playoff. This is not the question, but I think an 18 playoff was perfect, and I think that there should be. I think that every single team has an opportunity. Yes, certain divisions should have your guaranteed spot. Your Big Ten, your SEC, truly your Big 12, and your ACC, because I mean there is no Pac-12 now. So,
No.
but again,
Well, actually, I think that is. I don't have two members now, but I think they're going to gain like
they're
eight teams next year. But
something.
it's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
Gonzaga is going to be basketball Pac-12, and then
yeah.
Texas State is going to be in the Pacific 12. Go figure. And
But
please,
yeah,
by the way, I said that as a joke. I think I'm right. Somebody please look that up. I love
but yeah,
giving
it's
people
just
homework.
we can't hold we can't hold these teams in these conferences. We can't hold them back because of the conference that they're in.
Right.
It just doesn't make
Right.
any sense to me.
You
Yes,
have
they're
to win
gonna.
the games in front of you.
Yes, if they might go in and beat these teams that people don't consider high level talent, but then you look at, we would have done the same thing to Indiana this year. If Penn State would have been able to
Exactly.
hold on and beat Indiana, Indiana might not have been in the playoffs. They might have taken out Indiana and put Notre Dame in, because it's Indiana, not because they're in the Big Ten,
Right.
but because they are Indiana. So we have all these biases on who deserves to be there and who doesn't because of who they are. But at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is the product that they put on the field. And if they're winning their games, they're winning their games. And
Right.
it just, at the end of the day, so I'm going to stop ranting now. But at the end of the day, I do not think we should alienate these teams from the playoffs. I believe that we need to find a way, even if we have like you have here's 8 spots, and you have here's your SEC, Big Ten. You can give them two. I do believe you can give the SEC and the Big Ten 2 guaranteed spots, the champion and the second best conference record team, whatever. And then I think maybe you have
Okay.
a little bit of a play-in game where you say, okay, here's your Sun
Conference
Belt
winners
and
from these smaller.
here's your Sun Belt
There you go.
champion, your Mountain West champion. You play a
Right.
game, and that team makes it into the playoff. Are they going to get smacked?
Colorado State's in Mountain West.
Are
Colorado
they?
State, I believe, is in Mountain West, dude. You said it rung a bell in my head.
For now, at least for
hit my
today.
bell.
Maybe
Yeah.
tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow they won't be.
Right.
But yeah, like I do think that every team, and this isn't a participation trophy thing, because I'm completely against.
No.
You give all these people, oh, you showed up, here's an award. I'm not about that at all. But at the end of the day, I
Right.
just don't think you can hold. You have to give the conference champions an opportunity. Now, when it comes to independents, I think it's a little different. You have to look
Right.
at their schedule, the teams that they've played, all that stuff, because they are choosing not to be in a conference. And if they're choosing to not be in a
Right.
conference, I'm not guaranteeing an independent a spot, especially when it's always going to
heavier-
be Notre Dame, and then you're going to have all
heavier
these teams that don't
criteria.
do it. Yeah, you again
Right.
join a conference and win your games. Join a conference and win your games.
Motivational speak by Bob. Dude, you're so on point. I mean, I'm not even gonna jump on it and add to that. It's just, you're so on point because, and oh, by the way, Ty, here's something I like about your question. Your question takes in the consideration of the college football landscape as a whole. And I think earlier tonight, I believe I said about like the volatility of the landscape and how everything works. And here's where it ties into your question. The reality of it is, like Bob said, if the smaller conferences, and by smaller conferences, everybody knows what we're talking about. Let's just stop tiptoeing around it. Okay. You saw what happened to TCU when they played Georgia in the national championship game. All right.
Yep.
Wow. Right. Now they got there. Well done. Here's your prize. You get to take a Mike Tyson punch, and he's out. Right. So
was that Andy Dalton? Was that Andy Dalton's TCU team? I can't remember.
No, it was because he was already in the league. He was already in the league at that point, because it was only a couple of years ago.
You're right. I'm confusing the timeline of TCU in Hawaii.
Yeah. Who isn't, right? So, So Ty, what's really amazing about how you looked at this? No, you don't want to alienate these other schools, but then again, let's take a look at the schools that actually. Okay, every conference, almost every conference has some version of their own network now, where they're bringing in some kind of revenue. Some conferences are bigger than others. Some conferences have bigger networks than others. We all know this. Okay, so let's go and talk like adults here. The schools like the Georgias and the Texases. No matter Texas could be good or bad, they're always going to be a revenue bringer in. All right.
Yep.
Penn State, another revenue school, good or bad, doesn't matter. Those white helmets, classic. You always know those deep blue jerseys. Everybody knows Penn State. USC, good or bad, going to be some form of revenue bringing. Even though out in the West Coast they kind of don't care half the time. Who matters? It matters in the national conversation, right? Some schools are just always going to be money schools, and that's just the reality of it is. So the landscape will never be even. No one is going to shell out 2,200s plus plane tickets plus hotels to go see Daytona play. And no offense to Daytona, the Daytona Flyers, love you, love the uniforms, great. Dayton, yeah, okay, Dayton, Daytona, y'all look alike.
Now,
So
somebody might go down. Somebody might spend 2,200 to go see the Daytona 500 now.
That's true.
There you go.
Exactly.
There you go.
So, and again, look, my misspeak. I didn't miss it on purpose. I actually did mess up. Speaks to just what I'm just talking about. Whereas if you say Georgia versus Texas, or you say Alabama versus Penn State, when you start talking about old blue blood schools that ring into our social consciousness, people are going to want to see that, no matter where the schools are. Now, they'll start talking about quality of wins when you're talking about playoffs, but you know what? As Bob brought up earlier, those fans who only pay attention to college football on Saturday, who's playing? And if it's a school that they remember, because you hear Notre Dame's name for football every day, no matter where you are. So, of course, when they're playing, those golden helmets with that drop of gold, blah, blah, that means something, right? It doesn't matter what their record is, it means something. So there's a reality of where the teams are. That's on one side of the table. There's a reality of where people think the teams are. That's what Bob talked about back in week one. On the other side of the table, when he bagged on his own Penn State school, right? Then there was a reality of what the teams are doing outside of the people who follow the game. That's on another point of the table. So you have all these little dots, and there's even more. So you have all these little miniature elements, and who checks off all the boxes, that's who we know about, and that's who the networks know about, because they're going to consider who's going to play who, blah, blah, blah. So all these things come into it, and let's just going to be adults about it. It's about how much money can these many people make off of these games.
Yep.
It comes down to that sometimes. Ty, it has nothing to do with the quality of the school, the quality of the team, or whatever. It just has to be where are we going to get that check? And if that's part of it. My answer for this is, if we're going to talk about the game, let's talk about the game and leave the money out of it. If we're going to talk about what teams we think should be there, or as Bob would say, deserve to be there, then let's talk about that. But just because of how they played, not anything else. So, for instance, that year TCU makes it to the national championship game to face the Georgia Bulldogs, right? They beat everybody in front of them. As Bob says, they won the games, and they got there, and it's over. As soon as they said, and the home of the brave, game is over. There's a body on the field. Somebody calls these people's mamas and come pick them up so they can get them home and get them a lollipop, because Georgia just ran away. So, but look, they were there. At least they got a chance. So, Ty, that TCU can say we went to the national championship game, right? No matter what happens after that, they can say they got there. And I'm with you, Ty. That is important. We should not alienate schools. If you win the games in your conference, you should get the opportunity to do something because you have earned it.
Yep.
Doesn't matter where your conference is supposed to rank. It doesn't matter how much money your conference is supposed to make. For those of you who are not, or just listen, I'm doing sarcastic air quotes here, and I never do that well. I'm a musician, and my fingers never work right. So the the hardcore reality of it, Ty, is if you make it about football, we're going to have one landscape. If you make it about the money and the support that the schools get in terms of from alumni across the country, how much money they make in boosters, whatever, that's going to be another conversation. If we talk about how much money, or no, I should say money, I shouldn't say that way. How much connection do they have with television revenue and television viewership? That's going to be a third conversation. If we're going to talk about their marketability in terms of, okay, for instance, University of Georgia, if you come to Georgia and you walk around, you swear that there are at least 12,000 graduates every semester. Because there are some people who went to the actual Athens campus, but a lot of people went to the Walmart campus. And because they live in Georgia, they drive a truck, they have Georgia plates, they have Georgia t-shirt, but they went to the Walmart campus. They're still a fan of the school. They still put out money for the school.
So much right now with those comments
about
going to the Walmart camp. The Walmart campuses of those big schools save some kids lots of money. Okay, I'm only $53,000 in debt because I went to a Walmart Penn State campus. Okay, only $53,000.
No. You don't get what I'm saying. Your school, you still went to the school that had Penn State in the name. I'm talking about the cat who may or may not have graduated high school, who's working at the Jiffy Lube and would go buy a Georgia University shirt. That's the cat. Okay, that's what I'm talking about, right? And there's nothing wrong. And there's nothing wrong with that. But that's a separate conversation from. Is the team good if the team is not good? That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
But
so I made the mistake, right? Listen, when I first came back to Georgia, this is after I graduated in 2009. I came back to the state, and I saw this cat. He had Georgia everything, man. He had the polo, had a hat. His car had the license plate. He actually had the school. He paid to have the University of Georgia school license. He had all this. I said, dude, 2009. And he goes, no, man, it's 2015. And I said, oh, no. Oh, I said, oh, you just graduated. He says, no, I didn't go there. I just like the school.
Huh. I wonder how he got the license plate then. I guess you can get him as fan. I know I was going to get a Penn State one back whenever I was out east, and you had to prove that you were an alumni and stuff. I am going to get me one of these nice Minnesota Vikings license plates once I get the car switched over out here. I'm going to get one of them nice.
There ones. You go.
But
nice.
To go back to something, to go back to something you said, Maestro, and it fits in with my shirt a little bit. Wu-Tang had a song called Cream. Cash runs everything around me. And that is all that matters at the end of the day for the NCAA and all these people that make the rules. It's all about the money and how that is why we are going to end up with a 26 or 28 team playoff, because how much money, that's like March Madness. They bring in, I think, more money in that 1 month that, or like the like NCAA, like all the I can't promoters, whatever word I want to say. They make more money in that 1 month than the entire season because it is so important.
For those who do not know, March Madness is not owned by the NCAA. It's March Madness is its own separate thing, separate and apart from the NCAA. Yes, there are NCAA schools, but it's separate and apart from the NCAA. Just like the college football playoffs is not owned by the NCAA. It's its own separate product group. Just like the Masters is not a part of the PGA. It's its own separate thing. So look at those little details that will tell you how powerful something might be and how much it actually means. So when Bob says what he says, because it's okay. If it's about the money, let's just go on and say it's about the money. Let's go on and be adults about it. Because when we talk about the money, we should talk about the money, and we should talk about it honestly.
But it's
not confuse that conversation with the football.
It's not about the money. It's about we want to make sure that athletes get more visibility, Maestro. We want them to get more. We don't want the money. We want the visibility for the athletes.
down the hall. go to the go to that's another room. That's conversation in another room.
But Ty, amazing question, great
Yeah,
question.
it
B-Ron,
is, man.
Maestro giving us our first topic. Appreciate it. I know we did have to record this episode super early. I'm traveling. I'm traveling back to Virginia to pick up my wife and our animals to get them out here to Minnesota this week. So we didn't have too much time to gather some questions from the fans, but we appreciate all the questions we get every single
All the
time we
time.
get them. They're always so
All
great.
the time.
We don't have any. I don't think we don't have anybody that asks us any of those vanilla questions. So it's always
I'm
great.
so glad, man. Our listeners, our viewers, oh gosh, so smart. I mean, and to the point, I'm gonna let you behind the table. I'm gonna start looking up stuff now. I'm not gonna just start sitting down and have Big Bob surprise with questions anymore. Because it's like the questions and they inspire such deep thought that we can really go into conversation about it. That if we ever are able to go to a multi-day-a-week show, and hopefully we will be able to
Yep,
at
we
some
hope so.
point, we might only take 1 or 2 questions a day, so that way shows can be at least between 30 and 40 minutes as opposed to an hour and 149 minutes.
So what you're saying, Maestro, is you would like the questions sooner than 5 minutes before the show starts moving forward?
No, you should get it because I'm going to learn how to use my phone to look up stuff. Because I'm watching you over there. I'm like, how's this cat doing this? This is crazy. It's like it's like voodoo. Whoa.
But again, Ty, B-Ron, appreciate you
Yeah,
guys.
man.
Maestro,
So much.
any final words for our people?
I hope your New Year's I hope everybody's New Year's is just filled with so many blessings that we lose count. And I hope that you're with your loved ones and hope you gain more loved ones and have so many friends and family and loved ones in your life that you just can't even keep up with it all. And that everyone is as successful and as happy as they can be to the point where they just don't even know what it's like to be any other way. I really pray and wish that for everyone.
Yeah, and I hope everybody that you get your New Year's resolutions and you stick to them. And if you don't stick to them, you give yourself a new one. Just always work towards bettering yourself. How about that? No matter
Yeah,
what.
the whole point of having a dream is to get it and then get another dream.
There you go. It's not over when that dream's over, and you might come across some nightmares on the way there, but it's what you got to. You
That's
just
okay.
got to work through them. Well,
JTS
again,
Jets.
we appreciate you guys as always. Everybody, I hope you guys have a great rest of your week.